All right, good morning, welcome back. This is another video on my way to becoming a professional kayak bass angler. I have so much to learn, but today I'm going to be focusing on two lures in particular. The last time I came out, I caught my first bass on a jig. That was really awesome. But I went and looked up some things, and I found out I may have been doing things a little wrong for my particular lake. So we're going to try out a little bit new method using the jig today. Supposedly, the jig is one of those catches giant bass lures, and I keep catching small bass. I'm ready to catch a big one. It's been too long. But I'm going to be competing that lure against another lure that I have like zero confidence in, and that's the chatterbait. So today I'm going to be throwing a chatterbait with a nice trailer on there, and I'm going to be throwing a jig. And for the most part, I think those are going to be the only two lures I use today. It's getting pretty windy. So I might be tempted to throw on a spinnerbait. I've had a lot of luck with spinnerbaits when it's windy, so we'll see about that. We'll see how this goes. But I will say either way, whether I catch fish or not, I'm gonna be making a video about it. So if I don't catch anything, I'm sorry. Let's head out and try and see what does better. Is it gonna be the jig or is it gonna be a chatterbait? All right, I'm gonna get everything rigged up, and let's let these lures have a little face off and see if we can catch something bigger today. I only just recently learned how to tie on leader, which is silly, I know. I mean, I guess I've always known how, but I've never really bothered to do it. But now that I'm wanting to take this a little more seriously and be competitive, enter in some contests or some tournaments. Now let's go ahead and find myself a chatterbait. Chatterbait. Let's see, which one am I gonna use? I'm gonna use this dark colored one. Trailer, we need to throw a trailer on there. I'm not an expert at this, so if you see me do something silly, as I said before, you let me know. I think probably just like a little like that guy might be good. Oh, what's this big old thing? Oh, he got all messed up from the heat. That might be okay though. Honestly, I think I'm gonna do it. All right, that should be fine. His little tail's a little off to the side. I don't think that's gonna matter, but maybe it will. Best chatterbait trailer. Yeah, so the first thing that popped up is looks like what I'm using. So we're gonna go ahead and leave that. All right, we're all rigged up. Let's get everything put away. Let's get out of these lily pads. The wind's blowing me everywhere. These are rage tail soft baits. I'm gonna try throwing one of these on the jig. The current thing I'm using has been working just fine. I have no issues with it, but supposedly these are the best. These are the best trailers you could use for a jig. Everyone seems to agree. So we're gonna try one out today. Let's go and take a look at the difference between these two. I know I just ripped off the chunk of that, so he is a little bit longer, but yeah, that's a much bigger guy. He's got much bigger little pinchers. As for this, I know that I don't think I want that much hanging off there, so I think most people rip off. Everyone says they bite it off, but I don't think I'm gonna. We're just gonna twist it off. Let's try that. What does that look like? I think that'll be good. Let's just try that. Get that skirt out of the way. Slide them on up. Ooh, that's nice. I put that on there very well. Okay. One of the most important things when you're out kayaking is having a garbage bag. All right, let me show you what we got. On this combo, I got a Daiwa Tatula 100. This is the newest model. Absolutely love it so far. And I got an SLX medium heavy, fast action Shimano rod. Very happy with it so far. Brand new combo. This is my second time using it. And the lure, we got it's a rattling, pretty heavy. You can see the size of that. I don't know what size that is, but I think it's got to be close to like a 1/2 ounce, I think, jig. It's got a rattle in there. We got the rage tail on there, trailer. So that's our first competitor. And he's going to be competing today against a chatterbait. This is the original chatterbait. I think it's Z-Man, I believe. And we got kind of like a dark color going there. And we got that dull, messed up tail, but I think that's going to be just fine. And I'm going to be throwing on a little bit of garlic spray on each of these guys. Got to give ourselves every bit of advantage we can today. And I think we're gonna start with the chatterbait. My double uni knot was not clean enough to make it into the bait caster to get the little spindle, so we're just gonna have to have a little less leader on there. I think I did that right this time. Okay, yeah, nice. Yeah, that works. So the chatterbait, when it comes through the water, has that big blade on the front that like rattles. I don't even know if you can see that, but the tip of my rod is just kind of vibrating like crazy. So I never usually catch anything with a chatterbait. I've had a lot of, I don't know, haven't really figured out how to use it. I decided to watch some videos on it yesterday, and it seems like a big thing that I think I'm not doing is making sure that that chatterbait is getting down as low as possible. I want it to basically be bumping into any brush or right there near the bottom. So we're gonna let it sink, get down nice and low. I think the water depth right there is about 10 feet, and then it gets pretty deep pretty quick. So we're gonna, nice slow retrieve is probably just fine, just enough to keep it chattering, and then you can give it a little. That knot is not perfect. That knot is not getting through the front eye of that rod as well as I would like, but I think it'll be fine. Keeping the rod tip down because I want this chatterbait to stay as low as possible. Something else we're forgetting is to make sure to let out a little bit of slack. I need to make sure that that chatterbait is dropping straight down, and if I don't have slack, it's gonna kind of like pendulum swing towards my boat. Don't want that. I want it to go straight down and get as low as possible. That way when I'm reeling it in, I'm traveling the most distance where I want it to be. I'm gonna try to give about a dozen or so casts with each of these, and then I'll kind of just keep alternating back and forth. It's always a struggle to get a lure down to the depth that it's supposed to be at. I don't know, I guess it's something that a lot of novice anglers struggle with. So honestly, let's give this like a full, give it some slack there. Let's give this a couple seconds. Let's give it more time than I have been. Because if I'm not pulling up grass every once in a while, then I'm probably not going deep enough. As I mentioned though, a front did come through yesterday, so the bite could be a little bit trickier today. So let's go ahead and, it's probably down there now. I've seen a few professionals kind of do this thing where they lift the chatterbait, let it drop back down. In a sense, it is kind of just like a jig, so you can kind of play that, I guess. Alright, well, we had no bites. Let's see if this guy has any better luck. I did have quite a few bites with this bad boy and did catch a fish right here the other day, so confidence is high. Let that get down to the bottom. While it's doing that, I think that the last time I came out when I was fishing with the jig, I wasn't accounting for the fact that the bottom of this lake is probably mostly silt, so it's like really thick, like pond scum at the bottom. And I don't think a jig is, you gotta be careful how you do that. You gotta maybe reel it in just a little bit faster. Oh man, I thought I was on one there. Ooh man. I'll tell you right now, I think that this Rage Tail trailer has a ton more action than the other that I've used. Try it right there. A little slack out. Let that get down to the bottom. Yeah, I guess that silt down at the bottom, I think this lure could probably, it's so heavy, it's probably diving straight into it and then kind of disappearing. So I need to try to keep it out of that a little bit. But at the same time, you want to be right there on the bottom. I also learned that when you're reeling it in, you want to be giving it these little shakes. And when you're doing that, you want to keep your rod tip up. Didn't know that. I was doing the other day, I was like doing it down here, but you can also just kind of slow retrieve it. I guess there's really no wrong way to fish a jig except for just don't fish it fast. It's important to picture when you're reeling in a jig, you're picturing the bass following it down there. They're down there looking at it. They want it. It's all about you presenting them the perfect opportunity. Oh, that was was a bite. Oh, damn. That was a bite. Time to make some lunch and some coffee. That smells good. Nice cinnamon and apple. Shall we? Alright, so we're going to throw the frog on, that paddle frog that I used the other day, and we're going to throw on my favorite spinnerbait ever, the Strike King. I don't even know what the exact thing for it. It's a half ounce finesse, and it's got this like glittery thing going on. It's white, which is I guess the color of minnow, so that should be big. Also, it's windy, and the #1 times I've ever caught fish on a spinnerbait are when it's windy, so right now is the time. One benefit is I'm going to be throwing it on my new combo here, which has fluorocarbon on it. I've only ever thrown this spinnerbait on my other bait caster before, so this should be pretty sweet. Should increase my odds of making something happen. Alright, got that all set up. That was easy. It's so windy. A frog just seems silly, but we gotta switch it up. Gotta try something else. Alright, we got the frog and the spinnerbait set up. Let's see if we switch up our lures, if that makes a difference. Yeah, that's a big dead bass right there. Damn, that is so sad to see. It's like a 4-pounder. Alright, it is windy as heck. You know, to not throw the frog right here would be kind of silly. Should at least try it really quick. See if anything happens. This wind's gonna blow me all the way back to shore. Damn, what a workout. Okay. One of the craziest days I ever had fishing was with a spinnerbait on a day when the wind got crazy like this. I was catching a fish on like every single cast. It was absolutely insane. Alright, this spot is pretty froggy. It's a pretty windy spot. Might be tricky, but my paddle frog kicks like a little whopper plopper. Whoa. Oh my god, I'm really scared. A freaking frog blow up is just... Oh boy, that is rough. You know, I've only been skunked just a couple times since I've owned the kayak, and oof, rough. Right in the second episode of me saying I'm going to become a professional kayak bass angler. But you know what? That's okay. There's a lot to learn from the day. For starters, I think that the chatterbait was probably just a terrible bait to be throwing today. The water clarity is super clear, and from the stuff that I've kind of researched in the last, 24 hours when I went out and filmed this, it seems like chatterbaits does better in murkier water, and doesn't do that well right after a storm had just rolled through the day before. So the bass had all kind of gone through and had a bit of a feeding frenzy, and I think they were probably looking for easier meals. They're feeling a little lethargic. And then the same thing with the jig. I think it's just the jig is very big. It's the biggest jig I have, biggest jig I've ever thrown, and it has a rattle built into it. The trailer was really big. I think that was probably just a bit much. Now I have a finesse jig in my tackle box, and that probably would have been like the best thing to try using today. And I think next time I head out, I am going to try the finesse jig for a bit. I do want to focus on kind of learning how to use the jig. I do want to learn how to use the chatterbait. I think these are probably the two most important lures I could be learning to use if I want to become a pro. But you know, hey, I'm sorry I didn't catch anything today. I appreciate you watching all the way to this point. I hope maybe you learned something, or maybe if you're knowledgeable and you can teach me something, I'd appreciate that as well. And if you want to see what happens with that finesse jig in a couple days, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. It'll let you know when that next video is posted. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.